Hey, welcome back everyone. I'm going to do a rate my base right here. We're going to attack windjust, and in this series we don't use any scrolls. If we die, we die. I walk you through the little mini map here, explain you what these little symbols mean and how to prep for a base and how to prepare for it based on the symbols here. And then we'll go ahead and look at my king real quick. So this is Jason W account, my main account, level 67. And see, we have ice armor. Doesn't really do anything because not many people use ice for attacking purposes or have any ice people. We do have gloves that do fire boost, and then we also have a sword that boosts normal attack. Oops. So I keep forgetting about the back button. And then we are wearing speed boosts, or we could swap it over to poison boots. I actually prefer the speed boost. 12% is a pretty good increase. The 244 poison resistance isn't, that great in my opinion. So then we'll look at the spells that we have over here. Oops. Just take a quick gander of the spells so you know what we're working with. And then we'll take a look at the troops here. So now I'll go in and take a look at the base, give you my initial thoughts on it. I've never fought that person before, so we're going in there blind. It's a 1 trophy, which means we typically should be able to beat it. It does have a lot of advanced towers. Only these are here, the Firebolt towers and Skull towers. So it should be pretty tough. Right off the bat, it says it has a lot of mortars. Typically, when the mortar's in the first spot here, means they have too many mortars in waves. You only need 1 mortar in a wave. Because you can't double poison. The poison lingers on the ground, so it splashes and stays there. And then it has a lot of pyromancers, which is good. Very few paladins, which is interesting. And a couple frosters. At high level gameplay, frosters actually do help out quite a bit. I do like to bring sword rain just because it takes out everything except for the mortar and the cannons if they have any, which doesn't appear like he has any cannons. So we're going to go in there with sword rain, sonic blast, and blade storm. Pretty much Sonic Blast and Blade Storm are almost like must-have spells at endgame when you're in that 3,000 trophy range. For troops, this is where it gets a little tricky. You can use different troop setups based on what troops they have and what towers they have. With having a lot of Firebolt towers, I found that using a lot of Pyromancers myself is really, really effective because they're resistant to fire and resistant to poison, which is a lot of the damage that you're receiving in this high level gameplay here. You can see his first 2 units poison, fire damage, and that's fire damage right there. So pyromancers are pretty much key. And then I like to have either knights or paladins as my little shields, because I like the knights because they're a lot faster. The paladins can absorb a lot more damage because they have a lot of resistance to arrows and such, but the knights have the fastest movement in the game. So I'm going to keep with the knights for this setup. And then I do like to have cannons at the end for big damage at the end of the cannons, or big damage at the end on the gate, so we can get the gate down as quick as possible. Because you do run into time crunches here without using scrolls. So the road path looks pretty standard. A lot of curving, so the only thing I don't like is how all these right here are going to get destroyed. It's bunched up together, so one Blade Storm right here will be able to take those 2 out. And then once I come up here, I'll be able to Blade Storm and then I'll run to that one. So how what this setup is like these are going to get destroyed pretty much simultaneously. And you'll see that in the battle. There's not really much you can do with this road setup. Your barriers are going to be connected. So we're going to go in here. The initial attack will probably be a bunch of pyromancers because we have to kind of clear out the beginning path. and he's going to have a lot of troops coming up. And he doesn't have that many paladins, so we're going to use pyromancers to, you know, start doing damage. Probably bring out 4 or 5 of them, and then we'll go from there. You'll see the first couple buildings will get destroyed fairly easy. You want to use your Sonic Blast. See, now we need to bring out cannons because he does have a Firebolt tower on the left there, which is you know, the best placement for it. So we need to have out cannons that will come out and destroy that. Bring out some more Pyromancers. Bring out a few Knights. So now I'm going to bring out cannons, because I will be able to get all the way over here. I should be able to divert these guys' attention. Now I bring out a bunch of knights as just meat shields. You want to try and get your sword drain off before the Pyromancer flings out his firebolt, so then you don't take any fire damage from him. And then you have to save your Sonic Blast for the skull towers up there. You see, I want to get back up here so I can hit this skull tower as soon as possible with my next Sonic Blast. Do need to recover just a little bit, so I have to sit back. The only thing that could have stopped me here is if I die. I do have a decent amount of troops, so I'm going to sit back and rest up. We have plenty of time, so there's no real reason for me to rush. And so if I did rush, I would just cause myself to die, which would cost me gems, and that I wouldn't be able to defeat the base. So we are at the gate. We have 20 some odd seconds. We don't have any troops, but they're coming. So that's the thing. So I'm going to save my spells. Got to make sure your hero hits the gate too, because sometimes the hero doesn't hit the gate and he acts really retarded. So the setup was pretty good. And we barely beat him with like 7 seconds left, which is pretty close. There's just not much in this setup that was bad. Honestly, it's just I think this is a really effective attacking strategy that I have, using the Pyromancers a lot and the Knights as like meat shields. And my hero is pretty strong for this stage of the game, for someone around the 27, 28, 2900 trophy range. The only thing that could, you know, help is if he upgrades his towers a little bit here and there, because obviously more life and more damage will kill my hero. As you see, we almost died there. And you know how I said I didn't really like these? I still don't necessarily like them, but the way he set up his path is he has all these corner towers that are firebolts that you can't really attack until you get up there. So it's really, really effective how he set up these roads right here. There's nothing you can do for the barriers, you know, whatsoever. There's really nothing you can do with those. The only thing that I probably do, I didn't see that many mortars actually in the thing, but if there was any ways that had double mortars or anything like that, I would probably want to put a few more paladin in there, because as you saw in the battle, my hero was pretty much solo the entire fight and just up here, up here, up here, and he was able to do that because the sword rain was able to kill all the ranged troops off, and the only thing that was doing damage to him was the firebolt towers and a little bit of the mortar, the poison damage, and then some of the bombs from the skull tower. But it wasn't, you know, being really attacked by units, because the sword rain took out all the units. So adding a few more paladins would probably be more effective. But this base here should be pretty good against most opponents. around this range, especially ones that don't have the Sonic Blast. They definitely won't be able to get past this base at all. Very, very, you know, advanced towers. Everything is advanced here. Nothing is cheap to upgrade anymore. So it's just slowly but surely upgrading the towers and upgrading your barricades. The one thing that it's funny is that the Blade Storm cuts through the metal barricades a lot more faster than it does the wooden ones. So if you're, trying to debate, I would recommend using a couple wooden ones here and there, because everyone is going to be using Blade Storm. And so even though they may not appear that strong, but if you get them to level 12, they're a lot cheaper to get to level 12 to max level currently, and they do have like 13,000 life, and it's harder for the Blade Storm to destroy one of them, surprisingly. So even though the metal ones have more life and they're more resistant to different things, the Blade Storm for some reason just goes through them like nothing. They will gain more life, and it will be harder for the Blade Storm to defeat them, but if money is an issue and you can't get the 2 million or 3 million gold to upgrade those barricades, throw in one or two of the wooden ones for now and see how that works out with that placement of wooden ones, because they're a lot cheaper to upgrade. I think level 11 to going to level 12 is only 1.5 million for max level, so you can see they're quicker to upgrade, they're cheaper. To get a full level 12 barricade, it's probably like maybe 5 million, whereas to get a full level 12 blockade is probably like 20 million. So there's a huge cost difference, and most of the time the Blade Storm is going to be the only spell that is really going to be destroying the barricades at this stage of the game, because like I said, most players are going to use Blade Storm and Sonic Blast, and then a third whatever spell they want to use. So all in all, this is a very solid base here. Definitely like the road design. The barricades, there's nothing you can really do. You can't really split them up any further. So I would recommend just trying a wooden one here and there and holding off there, getting a wooden one to level 12 possibly. Like I said, a lot cheaper. But this is a very good setup here. And like I said, maybe adding a few more paladins versus, I don't know if there's any double mortars anywhere. Like I said, I didn't see that. But a few more paladins. So it's just the standard upgrading your towers and upgrading your waves, and then possibly trying a wooden barricade. So this base, I give it a 9 out of 10. It's a very, very good base. Extremely hard. We barely beat it, and it was a a tough fight.